Welcome to the very first episode of the Acumatica Playbook. I'm Shawn Ostheimer, founder and CEO of the Answer Company. This podcast is all about helping you automate smarter, achieve more, and accelerate your business with Acumatica Cloud ERP. Today, I'm joined by our COO, Darren Redies, who's been with the Answer Company for 25 years now. Today, our playbook, we're talking about something that gets to the heart of what we do, what it really means to have the right ERP partner, and why expertise is everything when it comes to a successful implementation. Welcome, Darren. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Shawn. Good to be here.
So let's start with the big picture, Darren. When we talk about being the right partner rather than just a vendor, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, I find the terms vendor versus partner used often as if they're interchangeable, and they're very definitely not, at least not in my mind. Most people in the ecosystem that do what we do refer to themselves as partner, but I don't think that means that everybody treats their customers as partners. And I don't think I'm unique in the fact that I never like being sold to. It's not a very comfortable situation. And if we think about the difference between a partnership versus someone who's selling to you, it's really a matter of perspective. Are they coming into this wanting to create something long-term? Are they wanting to be somebody who's working with you? And really, it comes down to a curiosity about you. Are the conversations more about how things affect them as the vendor? Is it all about how quickly they can get the deal closed and move on to the next one? Or are they looking at this as a long-term partnership? And the reason that's so important, Shawn, when we think about what we do is this is not a transaction that's one and done. It's not something where we close the deal and then we move on that's the end of it. It's very much the beginning of what we hope is going to be a very long-term relationship. At the very minimum, we know implementations often take 6 months and beyond, depending on the complexity of the business and the complexity of what we're trying to do. And certainly even beyond implementation, this is something where, again, our expectation is that we continue to work with you. We continue to look at how we can transform your business, how we can move you forward. These are sizable investments to make. And if it's something where you're just buying software, there's no way that you're going to get a return on that investment. It's got to be something where you're looking at somebody who I can work with, somebody who matches my values, and somebody who has genuine interest and curiosity about my business and about what I'm really trying to do.
Yeah, I really appreciate that and certainly echo that sentiment. We've been doing this for a lot of years, 30 years now. And when I think back to those partnerships where we've been able to really be successful, it's really where both partners, both us as the vendor and our customer, really does look at it as a partnership and approaches it in that way. And so we can think of many examples where we've worked with the same company for 20 plus years. That doesn't happen if you haven't kind of created those kind of that mutual respect and that mutual partnership.
Yeah, I recently was talking with one of our newer customers, and his comment to me afterwards was in a candid moment saying, listen, you guys have a reputation. You're not great at sales, but you're really great at implementations. And, I kind of laughed because if there's going to be a balance and it's going to be tipped one way or the other, that's certainly the way I'd rather have it tipped as opposed to the opposing way where you're great at sales, but not great at implementations. And I think that comes down to the way we approach this. It's not just all about, sales velocity and, do you have the budget and what's your timeline and how quick can we close this? It really comes down to what is it you're trying to accomplish? And, we really are focused on the customer and on creating this long-term working relationship together.
Yeah, if I think back to an exercise we did a number of years ago around defining our purpose statement, and in thinking, we reflected a lot on our experience in working with customers and coming up with a purpose statement of we propel companies forward. That was all about that, being a good partner and making sure that we were always helping our customers and driving them toward their objectives. So let's move on to the second subject. And so let's talk a little bit about what kind of expertise is required to make ERP projects successful, because we both know it's not about turning on the software.
No, if it was just software knowledge, this would be a lot easier job for sure. And there's no question. You better know whatever software package you're working with, and certainly having experience, having some depth there in terms of knowing the solution stack that you're working with, knowing the ecosystem, what's available. That's definitely part of it. But again, if we think about what we were just talking about in terms of being able to form a long-term partnership that's focused on the customer, well, what that means then is clearly I need to be able to understand the customer, and I need to be able to understand the customer's business. So, when we think about expertise, are the people you're working with, do they understand the ecosystem that you're in? Not just their ecosystem being in software and ERP implementations. First of all, do they understand just basic business in terms of how things get measured, which things are important, how things are done, and then do they understand your vertical? Do they understand your sub-vertical? How many companies have they worked with that have been in similar situations? It becomes a lot tougher process if you have to educate somebody from the ground up. And really, you should be expecting people to come in with a certain level of expertise. It makes such a difference in terms of the outcomes. They're able to visualize very quickly ways of accomplishing things that are really going to make a difference to your business. And if I think really about those two groups, people who know the software really well but maybe don't know the business versus the opposite. One's going to be looking at, here's a bunch of software features that I think are neat from a tech perspective, and let's put those in place. Those may or they may not go and, to use our lingo, propel your business forward. Somebody who's on the other side of this and has that expertise and that understanding of exactly what you do, how competitive your landscape is, what that competition looks like, what are the key metrics to moving you forward, is looking at how they can leverage the solution stack that's there. They know other pieces that they can bring in, even if it means custom work. They really understand what's going to make a difference, and they can help you make an informed decision in terms of return on investment. And to me, that's what it really always comes down to, is to take a look and see this as an investment. How do I get the most for my business, my people, out of this?
Yeah, I think about some of those key capabilities that we have to have as we kind of are showing up and supporting our customers. And clearly a partner like Acumatica does a really good job of making sure that we get the right education, that we have the right badges, that we have the right certifications. But that really is only a very small part of the actual story in order to ensure that we're successful. What do you think that some of the other key capabilities are?
Well, as I say, I think, first of all, that ability to understand business, but then it goes beyond that to really understanding how you get in deeper as well. Too. It's one thing to understand, it's another to be able to draw those facts out. And this is what I would think of as the soft skills, which are really part of consulting. So somebody who's actually in the business of doing business consulting knows the questions to ask and knows how to ask them and knows how to continue pursuing those too. If somebody's just coming to you with a checklist and wanting to take care of those really quickly and implement, you're going to end up with a cookie cutter solution. This is not something that's going to be focused on you. And again, it comes down to where is the focus? And somebody with the really strong soft skills, that's always at the forefront of their mind as they're thinking about you and your business. And I see it as a healthy curiosity really. And that curiosity can really drive things forward. Now, with that curiosity then means that you don't just take the first answer, that you'll challenge but in a constructive way, and really help to lead as well. These are skills that are developed, not over months, not even over years, but over decades, really. And this is where you really see the difference between a very experienced consultant who's coming in, who understands, we were talking before about the business, about the vertical, but also about how to go and draw this information out, then how to connect those dots and to start constructing a solution stack that really goes forward. And, this is, again, when we think about the differences in quality of partner, and as you say, just table stakes is learning the software, and Acumatica is going to make sure that everybody knows that. But there are people that are more junior, and they understand the software and they understand the business superficially. And then there's those people who've worked at this for literally decades. They know exactly how to get you where you want to go as quickly as possible. And that is based on, yes, they know the software, they also know your business, and they also know the journey that you're on. They know how to guide you on that journey, and there is just huge, huge value in that.
Absolutely. So we know with Acumatica, we've got some really strong industry additions: construction, manufacturing, distribution. But what is the role that industry experience plays in delivering solutions to the clients in those industries?
Yeah, so the last couple of topics that we've talked about really dovetails nicely into this. If I've been working in manufacturing for a long time, that doesn't necessarily mean that I know anything about managing a construction business. So I don't know what the key metrics are. I don't know what the pieces of the puzzle are that, first of all, just need to be handled. I don't even know necessarily how customers are invoiced. You need to be able to understand, again, what happens within this industry. What are the things that are important? And then the industry additions that are available from Acumatica are great in that they give you a tool set to work with. But one of the strengths of Acumatica is it's so configurable. There are so many things that can be done with it. And this is, again, where an experienced consultant who really understands the business knows that this is a starting point, and they know how to keep on moving that forward and how to tweak. And without custom code, but without just going and having to rewrite anything, they can go and configure things to accomplish so many different things. I think about a webinar that we did not too long ago, looking at this, where we thought of a creative way of looking at, okay, we've got this tariff issue that's going on right now, and there's some specific issues for specific industries. What are ways that we can just configure the software to handle that? And again, Acumatica is a platform. It's something that can be configured. There's such a huge marketplace too that you can draw upon. And so somebody who is working within that ecosystem knows too, okay, here are some really strong partners that we can bring in that specifically address this, perhaps to a higher degree than just the core product can.
No, absolutely. And if I think about some of our teams and our construction team, for example, with 20 plus years of experience across a number of the individuals on that team. I mean, they've seen it all, they've done it all. And so being able to bring that wealth of experience to each individual implementation, because what we do know is not all construction companies are the same. So even if you're in the same industry, we know time and time again, those organizations always have their secret sauce to how they do business. And we better not try to change that sauce, right? It's not about them adopting our best practices. It's about us, configuring the solution and understanding how do we accommodate their secret sauce and their success formula.
Absolutely. Every company has competitive advantages if they're managing to succeed out there. And so this is, again, where, you can't shortcut this. There's no quick and easy way to do it. You can't just say, oh, well, don't you know HVAC companies? You've implemented for them before. Can't you just do that for me? No, because I am now implementing for your HVAC company. And the way you compete in the marketplace, I know is going to be slightly different than the three competitors that I've worked with. You don't want to be the same as them. You've worked really hard to make sure that you're different in some way, that you have some different expertise. Let's make sure that we reflect that then as you move forward.
Yeah, very cool. All right,
but
so
at the same time, that there are learnings and best practices that can certainly move this a lot quicker. We see this, with companies that are perhaps a little younger, and they may not have all of that secret sauce baked in yet, too, but they may have some ideas of places that they're wanting to go. There is just, again, a certain level of understanding to say, okay, there is a better way to do this than you're doing it. Have you considered? Here's a way that we find works really well for similar companies.
Yeah, that's our role as a consultant, is to consult, to bring ideas and ultimately to help those clients leverage that years of experience we've had doing this for various different types of businesses, right?
Absolutely. It is to, as I say, respectfully challenge what's coming through. The worst thing a consultant can do is just show up, take what's given as being gospel truth, and just go with it. This is a deep discussion, and that's, if we think about a partnership, any partnership, any friendship that works really well, it's because the parties challenge each other and they push each other to be able to achieve greater things.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. So one of the things that we put a lot of emphasis on is discovery. And I know discovery is near and dear to your heart. Prior to taking on the CEO role, you led our pre-sales team, and you've done that for many, many years. I think about clients sometimes underestimate how important this phase of the project is, and how important it is for us to educate on why this is so critical to the success of a project. Share some of your views on that.
Yeah, and discovery is a term that really fits a few different processes too. And this is where I think as a customer it can be a little bit confusing. Because it really happens at least 3 times that I can think of. The first thing is, an account executive, the salesperson will contact and we'll start to just gather some very high level information. And, we'll start to ask some questions. That's a starting point, starts to give them an idea of which direction they should be going. And it may even start just with, okay, what industry, as well as additional modules do I need to bring in? What are the partner solutions from the marketplace that we need to be considering? That's really a level of discovery. But following that, we'll have the next level of discovery. And this is still before you purchase the software. It's now getting in and saying, okay, I need to know at a slightly more granular level exactly what you're trying to accomplish. I need to really start coming in to be able to give you a realistic estimate of what's this going to take, and to start to do some evaluation with you, again, within that partnership framework, to say, okay, let's see what exactly makes sense. Let's determine the gravity of the issues that you're facing, and then let's come up with a commensurate solution to match that. And so fine, you make your decision, and you're still not finished with discovery, though. Discovery continues on then as the professional services group comes in to start working with you, because they're going to come right down into the roots of this to really get down to say, okay, now we know at a business perspective what it is you're trying to accomplish. Let's start to think at every element of configuration. How do we want to tweak this? How do we want to make this work? So it's a learning process that starts and continues and continues and continues all the way through. And again, if you've got that healthy curiosity, that learning never really stops. I see that really in so many things. We're talking about right now ERP implementations, but really success to me often equates to that healthy curiosity throughout.
Totally agree. And obviously we've made a big commitment to doing discovery for prospective clients, and we don't charge for that because it's such a key factor in determining whether we are a good fit and whether our product is a good fit. And we're not going to be able to ensure that alignment and ultimately that we can propel a customer forward without doing that deep dive. And, customers aren't always comfortable paying for that, especially if they're talking to multiple vendors. The last thing they want to do is pay for that multiple times. But doing that, I think, is part of the sales process, really does ensure that at the end of the day, those expectations are well aligned, because we all know that there's lots written about ERP failures and why they fail. And obviously, we're not wanting to be part of that statistic. And failure is it's often defined as a missing of those expectations, right? And it's a spectrum. Sure. Very few projects completely fail, i.e., they never go live, but many projects may fail to fully meet those expectations. Well, yes, you're going to fail to meet expectations if you haven't defined those expectations well, right?
Yeah, if you haven't defined those expectations and really explored them. And, I will say, in terms of paid discoveries, not necessarily a bad thing too. We're always going to conduct those first couple levels to go into this, but we're also open to going and saying, hey, listen, you still want to know more, you want a deeper level of comfort, you're not ready to buy. Let's go ahead and do a paid engagement then as well and get right down deep. And it really ends up shortcutting your implementation later. As I say, we'd be having that extra level later on as well. You certainly can do that. And, I've seen that done very successfully before too, where people absolutely go in on a paid engagement on just discovery as well.
Absolutely. Can you think of a time when discovery uncovered a challenge the client hadn't really realized they had?
Yeah, and I think most times when discovery works well, it's because you're uncovering challenges that a customer didn't know they had, or at least doesn't understand how big the issue is. One of the ones that comes to mind for me is a distribution company. And we knew that there absolutely was a logistics issue to be solved. And, we'd started working on that, but we were really more focused on just from an operational perspective, the logistics side of this. Now, this is a company that put through just a massive number of transactions, very, very large company. And as such, every problem is magnified as well, too. And as we started to get into this and looked at what they were paying to the various shipping companies that they're working with, what we realized with them through that discovery was that there was an opportunity for them to reduce their shipping charges by having better data on exactly what was happening with each of those to the tune of $100,000 plus every year. $100,000 gave them a lot of room then to look at solutions that were going to be cost effective to be able to take care of this. So, that's one that jumps out for me, because we knew that there was, we needed to take care of logistics. What we didn't know was the cost savings that were there just up for grabs. And it wasn't a one-time cost savings. This was an annual, repeatable cost savings year after year that they could take.
Oh, very cool. I know we've got a ton of those kind of stories. So let's talk about a little bit something else. So we know last year we made the decision to restructure our business, and we divested our Sage business. And with that decision, we moved off of Sage, and we decided to standardize our business on Acumatica. For a variety of reasons, but not the least of which Acumatica's release of the Professional Services Edition lended some credence to the fact that we, as a professional services business, could very much be running on the product that we are now recommending to our clients. You were instrumental in that process and in that transition. Share a little bit about your story and some of the benefits that we've already seen as a business.
Sure. Yeah. I'm going to give a lot of the credit really for doing this really to the rest of the team. I may have had some input into this, but I will say at a starting point, it does come down to drinking your own Kool-Aid, right? So if you are going and advocating this as being a good solution, why wouldn't you use that solution for your business as well? But you're right. One of the things to keep in mind is as a professional services company, does it meet our needs? And we started to look at this in terms of how we could run the business. The strength of Acumatica's project module and its ability to get into the key metrics here has really helped us out. And when I think of previously, when I was going and, you're always trying to measure the business on similar metrics, but it was a lot of work for me every week to try to pull this. And there were a couple of different systems that I was having to pull this from. I spent considerable hours trying to pull that data together. And I think it was about 2 weeks after we went live on Acumatica, had my dashboard constructed. I get in there, my numbers are across, everything is there. It's very quickly. I can go and share with the rest of the leadership team. We can get in and have meaningful discussions. And I've got the ability to very quickly drill down into the details on that as well, too. So not only do I know what my metrics are, I know why they are what they are. So we can take a look at this. And, if I think about what we're talking about here in terms of that partnership and wanting to help companies continue to grow their business and improve their business within Acumatica and the accompanying solutions, is exactly what we're doing at the Answer Company as well, too. So we've been live on the system for quite some time now. And like I say, we've had a lot of things that we've accomplished. We're still going and building new things for ourselves. We're improving this continuously, much as a customer, we'd expect their journey to be, where they're continually looking at what's next? What's the next piece that I can get out of this? How can I get a little bit more and move my business further forward?
Absolutely. Very cool. So we're kind of wrapping up here. What's the one takeaway you'd want to share with the listeners about choosing the right partner?
Yeah, don't shortcut it. For starters, make sure that you're having those conversations. And it's okay to listen with a critical ear in terms of what's actually being asked. Are they asking about things that are important to them? Or are they asking about things that are important to you? And you have every right as the customer to expect it to be all about you, because it should be. Everything should be focused around you. And when they're going and they're asking those questions too, are they intelligent questions? Are they questions that show that they've been doing this for a while? And do they inspire confidence? Or do they make you wonder, really, how much do they know? And how long is it going to take me to educate them before I can actually start to do any real work with them that moves things forward? So think about that. That comfort level of knowing, and again, I'll emphasize this, this is not a transaction, where you go and you complete the sale and you move on. This is a partnership. It's a long-term partnership. It's a partnership for the implementation, which is over a number of months. And then it better be a partnership over years and years after that if you're really going to get the full benefit out of your investment.
Yeah, absolutely. As I kind of reflect on this concept of partnership, obviously our customers are looking to choose a partner, and there's really an element where the partner's partner is actually equally important. And so you think about customer choosing us as a partnership representing Acumatica. We chose Acumatica because of both the strength of their product, but also the partnership. The fact that they only sell through partners, they don't sell direct, drives their behavior and drives how they think about supporting us so that we can support our customers. So we're not caught in channel conflict. We're not caught in those really awkward situations where we're potentially competing against our vendor. In fact, we've got a situation where everybody's rowing in the right direction and the same direction toward the best for the customer. And I think this ultimately makes a really big difference to customers who choose to partner with us, that support that we get from Acumatica.
Yeah, alignment's so important, right? And so that's an alignment that we feel with Acumatica, an alignment that I know our customers want to feel with us as well. All of the cogs in the machine have got to be turning in harmony for this thing to work.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks again for joining me, Darren.
My
Thanks
pleasure.
to everybody who's listening. This has been the Acumatica Playbook. We're to help you achieve, automate, and accelerate. If you're thinking about ERP or want to explore Acumatica and what it can do for your business, visit us at theanswerco.com. And until next time, keep moving your business forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.